Some battles forged empires, others destroyed them, and a few were so bloody they changed the very beliefs of kings. From the dusty plains of Greece to the mountain passes of China, these are the top 10 ancient land battles that changed history. Stay tuned, because the #1 battle shattered the world's first superpower in a single day. Which battle turned an emperor into a pacifist? Which clash of armies ended the world's first superpower? We'll answer both, and more, as we count down. Number 10. Hydaspes. Alexander the Great versus King Porus. On the banks of the Hydaspes River, Alexander the Great faced King Porus in a terrifying line of war elephants. The first large-scale elephant battle of his career. The Macedonians were shocked, but Alexander adapted. He used flanking cavalry to isolate the elephants and countered their terror with disciplined phalanxes. The result? Victory, but at a cost. Hydaspes was Alexander's last great battle. Afterward, his army refused to march farther east. But Alexander wasn't finished yet. His most decisive clash was still to come. Number 9. Adrianople. Emperor Valens versus Fritigern. On the plains of Thrace, the Roman Emperor Valens confronted the Gothic leader Fritigern, confident in Rome's superiority. But Gothic cavalry struck with devastating force, overwhelming the Romans. Valens himself was killed, and much of the Eastern Roman army was destroyed. The defeat at Adrianople exposed Rome's growing vulnerabilities, and is often seen as the beginning of the end for the Western Empire. Rome wasn't the first empire to crack. Others had fallen even harder. Number 8. Chaeronea. Philip II versus the Athenian and Theban generals. Decades before Alexander, his father Philip II sought to unite Greece. At Chaeronea, Philip's Macedonians faced the combined leadership of Athenian and Theban commanders in a desperate fight for independence. The Sacred Band of Thebes, an elite unit of 300 lovers sworn to die together, stood their ground. But Alexander, likely leading the decisive attack, broke their line. Greek independence was gone. Philip ruled, and Alexander would inherit a united homeland to launch his world conquest. And that conquest would bring him face to face with the largest empire the world had ever seen. Number 7. Changping. General Bai Qi versus General Zhao Kuo. In ancient China, the states of Qin and Zhao clashed in a brutal war. The battle at Changping raged for years, culminating in Zhao's surrender. But Qin General Bai Qi wasn't merciful. Ancient sources claim hundreds of thousands of Zhao prisoners were executed, though modern historians debate the exact figure. This ruthless victory broke Zhao's power and cleared the path for Qin to unify China, the first centralized empire. From China's unification to India's awakening, battles shaped not just empires but entire civilizations. Number 6. Kalinga. Emperor Ashoka versus King of Kalinga. In India, Emperor Ashoka waged war on the state of Kalinga, led by its own regional king. The result was a bloodbath, over 100,000 dead, countless more displaced. Standing among the carnage, Ashoka was horrified. He turned away from conquest and embraced Buddhism, spreading it across Asia. A single battle transformed a conqueror into a patron of peace, and changed the religious landscape of half the world. But not every leader found peace. Some sought total destruction until the bitter end. Number 5. Cannae. Hannibal versus Roman consuls, Varro and Paulus. When Hannibal faced Rome at Cannae, he was outnumbered, but not outsmarted. Using a brilliant tactic, he allowed his center to bend, luring Roman legions inward. Then his cavalry struck from behind. The Romans were surrounded and slaughtered, tens of thousands in a single day. It remains the greatest ambush in military history. And though Rome survived, it was forever changed. Yet Hannibal's genius wasn't enough. Rome's revenge would come at Zama. Number 4. Zama. Scipio Africanus versus Hannibal. Years later, Scipio Africanus met Hannibal at Zama. This time, Rome had learned. When Hannibal's elephants charged, Roman troops opened lanes, letting them run harmlessly through. Then Scipio's cavalry routed Hannibal's flank. Carthage was finished. Rome emerged the supreme power of the Mediterranean, setting the stage for an empire that would dominate for centuries. And across the sea, another empire's fate would be sealed forever. Number 3. Plataea. Pausanias versus Mardonius. After Xerxes' invasion burned Athens and crushed a Spartan-led stand at Thermopylae, the Greek alliance made its final stand at Plataea. led by Pausanias of Sparta, heavily armed hoplites smashed the Persian forces commanded by Mardonius. The mighty Persian invasion collapsed. This battle ended the Greco-Persian Wars and preserved the independence of Greece, and with it the future of Western philosophy, drama, and democracy. But just a generation later, another battle would test Greek resolve in an even greater way. Number 2. Marathon. Miltiades versus Datis. 10 years earlier, Persia's first attempt to conquer Greece met resistance at Marathon. Outnumbered Athenians under Miltiades charged across the plain, catching the Persian forces led by Datis off guard. In a stunning upset, the Greeks won. The victory inspired confidence in Athenian democracy and the idea that ordinary citizens could defend their freedom. Fun fact: the famous Marathon dash to Athens is a later legend. Herodotus records Hydaspes running to Sparta before the battle. But the most decisive clash of all came when one young king faced the greatest empire on earth. Number 1. Gaugamela. Alexander the Great versus Darius III. The Persians outnumbered him, perhaps 5-1. Darius unleashed scythed chariots and cavalry, but Alexander used a gap in the Persian lines, leading a wedge of cavalry straight toward the king. Darius fled. The Persian Empire, once the world's first superpower, collapsed. In a single day, Alexander reshaped the map of the ancient world, ushering in the Hellenistic Age. The world after Gaugamela would never be the same. These battles weren't just fights. They were turning points that changed nations, religions, and civilizations. Which one do you think had the greatest impact on history? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because very soon, we're leaving the land behind and diving into the seas with the greatest ancient naval battles ever fought.